Chapter 46. 500 seconds later, his heart was still beating. Mr. Pendanski screamed. The lizard, which had been in the cereal box, was springing toward him, sent Mr. Sir shot in midair. Stanley felt the blast shatter the air around him. The lizard scurried frantically across his very still body. He did not flinch. A lizard ran across his closed mouth. He glanced at Zero, and Zero's eyes met his. Somehow they were both still alive. At least for one more second, one more heartbeat. Mr. Sir lit a cigarette. "I thought you quit," said one of the other counselors. "Yeah, well, sometimes sunflower seeds just won't cut." He took a long drag in his cigarette. "I'm going to have nightmares the rest of my life." "Maybe we just shoot him," suggested Mr. Pendanski. "What?" asked the counselor. "The lizards or the kids?" Mr. Pendanski laughed grimly. "The kids are going to die anyway," he laughed again. "At least we got plenty of grapes to choose from." "We've got time," said the warden. "I've waited this long. I can't wait another few—" Her voice trailed off. Stanley felt the lizard crawl in and out of his pocket. "We're going to keep our story simple," said the woman. "The woman's going to ask a lot of questions. The Attorney General will most likely initiate an investigation. This is what happened. Stanley tried to run away in the night, fell in a hole, and the lizards got him. That's it. Not going to even give them Zero's body. As far as anybody knows, Zero doesn't exist. Like Mom said, we got plenty of graves to choose from." "Why would he run away if he knew he was getting released today?" said Mr. Pendanski. "Who knows? He's crazy. That's why he couldn't release him yesterday. He was delirious, and we had to keep watch over him." "She's not going to like it," said Mr. Pendanski. "She's not going to like anything we tell her," said the one. She stared at Zero and at the suitcase. "Why aren't you dead yet?" She asked. Stanley only half listened to the talk of the counselors. He didn't know who that woman or what AG meant. At least he didn't realize they were initials. It sounded like one word, AG. His mind was focused on the tiny claws that moved up and down his skin and through his hair. He tried to think about other things. He didn't want to die with the images of the warden, Mr. Sir, the lizards etched to his brain. Instead, he tried to see his mother's face. His brain took him back to a time when he was very little, all bundled up in a snowsuit. He and his mother were walking, hand in hand, mitt in mitt, when they both slipped on some ice and fell and rolled down a snow-covered hillside. He ended up at the bottom of the hill. He remembered he almost cried, but he laughed instead. His mom laughed too. He could feel the same lightheaded feeling he felt then, dizzy from rolling down the hill. He felt the sharp coldness of the snow against his ear. He could see flecks of snow on his mother's bright and cheery face. This was where he wanted to be when he died. "Hey, caveman, guess what?" said Mr. Sir. "You're innocent after all. I thought you'd like to know that. Your lawyer came to get you yesterday. Too bad you weren't here." The words meant nothing to Stanley, who was still in the snow. He and his mother climbed back up the hill and rolled down again, this time on purpose. Later, they had hot chocolate with lots of melted marshmallows. "It's getting close to 4:30, said Mr. Pendanski. "They'll be waking up." The warden told the counselors to return to the tents. She told them to give the campers breakfast and to make sure they didn't talk to anyone. As long as they did, they were told they wouldn't have to dig any more holes. If they talked, they'd be severely punished. "How long will we say they will be punished?" one of the counselors asked. "Let them use their imagination," said the warden. Stanley watched the counselors return to the tents, leaving only the warden and Mr. Sir behind. He knew the warden didn't care whether the campers dug any more holes or not. She had found what she was looking for. He glanced at Zero. A lizard was perched on his shoulder. Zero remained perfectly still except for his right hand, which slowly formed into a fist. Then he raised his thumb, giving Stanley the thumbs-up sign. Stanley thought back to what Mr. Sir had said to him earlier in the bits of a conversation he overheard. He tried to make sense out of it. Mr. Sir had said something about a lawyer, but Stanley knew his parents couldn't afford a lawyer. His legs were sore from remaining rigid for so long. Stanley still was restrained and was still walking. He slowly allowed himself to lean against the side of his hole. The lizards didn't seem to mind.